everyone. Welcome to another edition of Fearless Fridays with Lisa. And I have a very special guest today. It's actually a coaching client of mine and has a phenomenal story that you guys are going to get so inspired around. And her name is the one and only Carla Burns. Hey, Carla, welcome.
Hey, Lisa. So nice to be on. Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so thrilled that you get to share your story and your breakthroughs because you guys, Carla's story is very similar to a lot of our story, especially if you were kind of grown up as the good girl, right? Maybe you were a good girl, but you had that bad streak in you. Well, Carla, your story is so inspiring to me because, well, first of all, you guys, when I was checking the notes, I saw that Carla called me on April 5th, 2012 and asked me to be her business coach. So wow, look at that, how long we've known each other working together. I'm thrilled at that. But you guys are going to hear such a phenomenal breakthrough here around money. So just think right now, the viewers and listeners, what's your relationship with money right now? And be really open to receive, maybe even cause a breakthrough around money. Because when you hear Carla's story about how fearful she was about making money and a lot of it, and then how her process, how she broke through that, wow, to create an international success. And you're going to hear her story of breaking through her fear of travel, actually getting on an airplane, to creating a global empire, and what money can do for you and your contribution and your church, synagogue, mosque. So it's the money conversation today, Carla. Thank you so much for sharing your story and being with us today. So let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about how that fear of money, making money, got created, and what was your process to break through it?
Right. So it is definitely a process, and it really starts from childhood. You know, I grew up in a small town, just a small fishing town in Canada. You know, people didn't have a lot, very family oriented, amazing place to grow up. I loved my childhood, but we really weren't encouraged to dream big because there really wasn't anything to dream big about. Now, I was fortunate that my parents understood the importance of traveling. And so they would, every year, at least once or twice, we would go on vacation. We would come to Florida. We would go to Disney. You know, they would take us out of that town so that we could see what else is out there, which is really interesting because now that I know what I know how important that is when you talk about the neuroscience of putting yourself in different situations, taking yourself out of the ordinary and placing yourself in situations and places of things that you would never even dream of. And so as a child, that got implanted into my mind that there are possibilities outside of my small town. So it started with really what you call that small town mentality. I had that. And I also grew up, in Christian and church. And so although those are great values that I learned, some of them could be self-limiting, which they were to me. So, just thinking, oh, well, if you have too much money, why do you need that much money? That's greedy. And, just these things, they get planted in your mind. And so I had to overcome those thoughts and those fears that got created. And it didn't happen overnight. I've been on this journey for over 10 years now, and 5 of them being friends with you, and you helping coaching me through those first years of really battling those things.
Yeah. Yep. I remember. And what I remember the most is even before you hired me as your business coach, you have and had and still have a phenomenal mentor. And she gave you a visual. Teach us what Pam Sauter taught you, and what was that visual, that was the story, that was the visual that helped your brain get retrained and receive wealth.
Right. And that's exactly the words that she used. I just didn't have a brain cell yet for what was possible for me. So at the time, Pam and I were traveling. Like you said, she's an amazing mentor of mine still to today. Love Pam. She helps me think big, 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 big all the time. So we're always going to the next level. And I remember traveling with Pam one time, and we were just sitting out by the pool, and I think I was making maybe $3,000 a month at the time, which that was a lot for me, because even getting to the 3,000, when I first started in network marketing, first I wanted my product for free. That was it. I was joining just to get my product for free. I had no idea if any of this other was coming. But then I started to make a little more, and I thought, well, could I replace my income because I was a registered nurse? That was the $3,000. So I knew I could make $3,000. So that felt comfortable for me. I had a brain cell for $3,000. Anything above that, I couldn't even imagine it. So what Pam said to me was, you know what, think of the things that you could do with $30,000. In fact, what she said to me before that was, add a zero. And it really like took me back. I was like, what? Add a zero? I'm like, you mean $30,000 a month? And so we were laying by the pool, and I was like, yeah, okay, trying to act cool about it. But I literally, we were sharing a room, and so she's in one side of the room, I'm in the other. I like sat up in my bed in the night, and I'm like, Pam. She's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I cannot spend through $30,000 a month. So I didn't say I can't make $30,000 a month.
Oh.
I was thinking, how could I even spend $30,000 a month? So what I had said to myself really subconsciously was, that's too much money. So so the conversation went on, and she said, yeah, sure you can. Just think of all the shoes you can buy and all the places you can go. But it still wasn't sinking in until the next day. We had to go to the airport, and our plane was late, and we're sitting there waiting. And I said, oh man, Pam, won't it be nice when we have our own plane? And she just looked at me squarely and said, that's going to cost you more than $30,000 a month. So I was like, aha, okay, I do need $30,000 a month. So it just clicked. So every person is going to have those moments of, it'll click for you once you have that, aha, I can spend $30,000. But it really wasn't I can, it was, it's okay. I'm going to actually need that much. Yeah.
So let's go deep with that. You guys, did you hear that? Not that I can spend $30,000 a month, but I'm worthy to. I can, my language is a lot. I can allot, not A-L-O-T. Like I can spend, I can move it here. I can move it there. I can allot $30,000. So the listeners, like, what could you do in your contribution for your own self, for your family, for your community, for your church, synagogue, and mosque, that you could retrain your brain to say, yeah, I could allot $30,000 a month. In fact, one of your homework assignments right now, listeners, is get out a sheet of paper. That's your homework. Like, how would you allot $30,000? What would it move to? How would you tell it to go? Money is not your master. You're your master over your money, and you're going to tell it where to go. And when those images start happening in your brain, now, Carla, this is where you got to take over. This is your area of expertise. Actually, what's the degree that you're getting right now in neuroscience?
So it's my PhD in integrative medicine, but it does incorporate neuroscience and quantum physics and a lot of spirituality too in the healthcare
industry. Okay, beautiful. So share, how does the brain, and what do we need to do in that formula? You said it clicked. Yes, it clicks. Yeah. And just like we know in scripture, you can plant a seed and that seed can germinate, or that can seed be toppled on and never germinate. So some of our listeners, they could click today, and then if they don't cultivate that seed, it's for naught. It's not going to germinate. But if they cultivate the seed, just the idea, wow, I could make $30,000 a month. And we're going to get to the $300,000 a month in just a sec, you guys. Hang in there. Carla's story is amazing. But at this point, you're just deciding that you're worthy to make $30,000 a month. You could allot it. You could focus it in on different categories. Share a little bit about what our listeners could do right now in neuroscience and how that is retraining the brain.
Right. That's exactly what it is. So I didn't have the brain cell. Literally, we have brain cells. These are stored memories, and they create what we call neural pathways. So neural pathways are all of your memories, how you feel about things, but most importantly, how are you reacting? So when someone says, oh, you can make 30,000, how are you going to react? You're going to react based off of those old neural pathways. So the way to make new neural pathways is you have to start seeing things. You have to start visualizing. I started making dream boards and journaling and putting myself in situations. And I really focused on using my imagination. So not just, sticking it on the board and putting it on my wall. I had to literally step into, what does it feel like to make 30,000? What would I be doing when I wake up in the morning? What does somebody that makes $30,000 a month do? Like you said, where do I allocate it? What am I investing in? So all of these things, you're literally retraining your brain. You have to make those new neural pathways. And the more you do that, the old ones die off, just like your cells turn over. They just die off and you don't even remember. I don't even remember how that felt to think I can't make more than $30,000. That doesn't even register with me anymore.
Beautiful. And you guys, we know that the way to retrain the brain is through pictures and words. The pictures you're letting yourself see in your mind, which is imagination, and the words that you're speaking. So what were some of the mantras, the words, and the visions that you had to overcome that fear of making money?
So the one that I still hold today is, every day in every way, I'm getting better and better and better. And so every day in every way, I get better and better and better. I get smarter. I learn more. I contribute more. I earn more. I love more. It's all the whole encompasses everything.
Beautiful. All right. So then let's continue in the Carla Burns story. So when you called me to be your business coach, you were already at that level, even beyond. And you knew the next level of growth for you was international building,
right?
Global building. But you had a fear of airplanes. You had a fear of traveling. And you were just amazing, Carla. To coach you was such a joy, and to watch you just take on your assignments. See, here's the difference between some people, some of my coaching clients, or just some people, and you and other clients, is you actually did the work. You were willing on a daily basis to do the work. And what's the work? We're talking about the inner work. So you had to completely retrain your brain and your relationship with travel. The visions, the images that you would see in your head, instead of that plane crashing, you had to see that plane landing beautifully. You had to imagine your two girls were healthy, whole, complete, having fun with Chris while you were gone, your husband. So share with us, what did that look like? And what do our listeners and viewers need to do about tapping into their imagination to actually expand what's possible for them and overcome that fear of traveling, global contribution? Woo! You're worthy of 30 grand, 50 grand a month, but now we're talking about 300 grand a month. We're talking about global contribution. We're talking about other languages, making mistakes on stage when you're at a German, event, or in Sweden or in France, so what's your process? Now, evolution, what's your process?
Right. So it's really the same process, but it was a different circumstance. So it really starts with a dream and a vision, and something gets planted in your heart. So I've always known global business. I heard that. And that's why I contacted you, because I need help with this, because I'm hearing that I'm supposed to be a global business person, and I don't even want to get on an airplane. So how's this going to work out? So, I'm having this conversation with God. But see, I trust. That's a big part of it too, is I trust when I hear and I know that it's from Him, that it's from God, it's divinely inspired, then I'm fearful but I'm still trusting. So even though I'm afraid, I can step into it because I know I'm guided. I know he's with me. I know there's always going to be someone there saying the right word. I'm always at the right place at the right time. So yes, I was fearful. I had to overcome that, but still in the back of my mind, I felt safe.
Yeah.
So it's kind of, so I would say to that if you don't feel that, it might not be divinely inspired. Maybe you know what, you might be fearful because that's not the right path. So you have a knowing, even in the midst of the fear, that it's right. And you're okay, and you're going to be able to do it.
Yes. And we know because we took a step forward. That's what you did, Carla. You were always in action. Always. If I gave you a homework assignment, it was done by next week's coaching call. And then that's how you know you're divinely guided, because when it's not working or you have another sense about another evolution of that idea, you make adjustments. You're always making course adjustments, but you are a worker and you are willing. It's like that saying that God gave us the lights, but we got to turn on the light switch. Walk while we pray.
Yes.
So share a little bit about how it's worth it.
Yes.
So
worth it.
One of the reasons you attracted me, I know this for sure, is because I do Rich Life Mastermind retreats. And you wanted to do that. And in fact, your first homework assignment on April 5th, 2012 was to go research Disney Cruise Lines.
Yes.
And since then, this many years later, you've held multiple cruises in leadership for people who want to learn leadership, learn your neuroscience skills and your faith-based approach to building a business, a global business. You've done retreats for your team in castles. So tell us a little bit about the Carla Burns lifestyle of facing your fears, breaking through them, moving forward, doing the work, even when it didn't feel like you were successful or it's working. You continue to do the work, standing in faith. And what does it look like and feel like to give those experiences to your team, to yourself, to your children?
Right. Well, I mean, that's what it is. At the end of the day, it's contributing back. And so because I struggled so much with it, that I knew I had to share. I have to share how to break through these things so that other people can also benefit from that. And so, of course, I love castles. I love imagination. I love Disney. I love everything magical and fun. And so, and also, remember when we first started talking, it's so important to put people in a different experience, something that wows and blows their mind in order to recreate those neural pathways. It's incredible what happens in the brain. So, you really have to get out of your environment in order to make that change, even if it's only for 2-3 days. So I would take my team to a magical place. And so castles in Denmark and villas in Spain. And most recently we did some Disney cruises. I'm going to do another Disney cruise with my friend Denise in November. So I love it. And that's what they say. They say, I feel like I'm in a different place. I'm in a magical place. It allows them to just allow their brain a minute to absorb what could be possible and get in a different place and get even in a childlike place. Because childlike faith, you go back to when you were a kid and you think about, I want to be a princess. And so it just allows your brain cells to just go crazy with all of these things that you could imagine.
Yes.
Where, if you're in a hotel room, you're just, it's square, everybody's lined up. And I mean, there's a method for that. But when you're trying to create something magical, you need to be in a magical place.
Yes, beautiful. And listeners and viewers, you can do that right now. I know whatever city you're in, there's got to be a 4 or 5 star hotel. There's got to be, right? So drive to it.
Mm-hmm.
Treat yourself to a cup of coffee. Treat yourself to a glass of champagne. Treat yourself to an herbal tea, and just sit there and be in that environment. I have had so many clients do that, and that was the moment that began the process of their radical transformation. They saw themselves like, this is normal. So we can even stop right now, Carla, and ask our listeners, what's normal for you? How much money is normal for you to make? Notice, just notice. Then, and what's normal for you? What hotel you go have tea in? What's normal for you? And then you've got to be willing, you guys, to step out of your comfort zone and put yourself in environments that will become normal for you. It's normal for you to go catch an herbal tea and a sunset at a Four Seasons. It's normal for you to meet a friend at the Ritz for a glass of champagne. It's normal for you to gift $10,000 to your church, synagogue, or mosque. It's normal for you to give to the next place that's suffering $1 million. I mean, I had a friend one time, Carla, who actually told me, he said, I've got $1 million in the bank, and I know that those mudslides are so severe, I'm giving all my money away. And I'm like, how could you do? He wasn't a client of mine. He was a mentor of mine. I'm like, you are brave and courageous. Like, don't you have fear? Like, he's like, no, Lisa, I'll make it all again.
Wow.
I'll make it all again. I think that's what you start getting to when you become wealthy, is you don't have an attachment to the wealth.
Right.
You just want to create extraordinary experiences for your family and your community and others and people who are suffering. We can aid on this planet. We can aid the suffering with our presence, yes, but also with our money, our pocketbook. And when you have $1 million cash in the bank, and I'm just going to give that because I'll make it all over again. So could you share a little bit with us, Carla, of how that level of contribution for you and for Chris? I know you are committed in your tax returns that a certain amount goes to your family, your friends, your church, your the nonprofit organizations that are near and dear to your heart. So talk a little bit about who you became because you're wealthy.
Right. Well, you become more of who you are when you get wealthy. So the money doesn't really change who you are, but it allows you to be able to give more. And so for Chris and I, what I found, it's really interesting because there was a time in my life when we didn't have money. And it's almost like when you don't have money, you worry about it. But when you do have money, it's not like real money. It is money, but it doesn't have, like you said, that attachment to it. So you're so more willing to freely give because it comes and goes. Money just flows. And I found that people that hang on too tight to it don't have it very long. So the Bible tells us it's about our heart. It doesn't matter how much you give or who you give it to. If you gave $100 and your heart was freely giving that $100, you're going to get that back tenfold. But if you have $100 and you're like, oh, I don't really want to give it, but I should, it's probably not going to come back to you because it's more in the attitude. It's not the dollar amount. So the more you have, yes, you can contribute more. And that was a big thing for me. That helped me break through, is knowing that the more I have, the more I can give. It's not being greedy. It's contributing. And the world needs people to have money that want to give. And so shifting my mindset that way really helped me to be able to receive more.
I love that. I have a short story to share. It's a little girl licking a 2-scoop ice cream. So just imagine this, you guys, a little girl licking a 2-scoop ice cream. And her daddy is so excited that she's enjoying this ice cream. And then one of the scoops falls over and she starts crying and she says, wow, one of the scoops fell over. And the father says, let's go back in and get you a single scoop because that's what you can manage. And the little girl sees a sign that shows a triple scoop and she wants that triple scoop. But the father says, no, you can manage a single scoop. And that's how my story of how my creator deals with me with money. Lisa, be good with that single scoop of money. So how are you guys doing with that, the listeners and viewers? Are you, and what's be good? That's your decision, but are you responsible with your own money now?
Right.
And my labeling for my bills are my blessings. It's a blessing. One of my favorite things to do is when somebody tells me about an entrepreneurial venture, I love entrepreneurialism. I'll ask for their address and I will send them $100 check. And I will say, may this small token of money be a large token of faith that I believe in you and your dream. Now this I couldn't do if I didn't have that kind of extra cashola. And I know you guys give far more than that. So it takes people in network marketing, you guys, like you're growing who you're becoming, but who you're becoming, just like that single scoop, you're going to get a double scoop. When you can imagine when you can manage the double scoop, you're going to get a triple scoop. God is that good to you. He's going to make sure you can handle what you have first. Any thoughts around that, Carla?
Oh, I agree. I mean, you talk about being a good steward, and also the parable of, God gives us what we can handle, but then he also gives us what we ask for. Mm. And so if you're not asking, he's not going to give it. So, if you want $1 million and you get $1 million and then you're complaining that, well, how come I didn't have 10 million? Well, you never asked for 10 million. You asked for $1 million. So that's one thing I have to get good at too, is ask, ask, ask. There is no limit. God has no limits. And he takes great pleasure in giving, just like any father would.
So beautifully said. Thank you so much, Carla. You are just such a gift to me and to the world. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for being on Fearless Fridays with Lisa.
Thank you.
Do you have any closing thoughts or a call to action for our listeners and viewers?
Call to action. We talked a lot about, for me specifically, imagination has been huge for me. And so I would say if you don't have that dream, that really big dream with no limits, because we've proven there's no limits. So if you can dream about it, you can have it, but you have to really get into that dream. So every night when you go to bed, I want you to think about your most incredible, grandest adventure that you could ever possibly imagine and fall asleep in that every night. And just wait, because it's coming.
It's coming. Wow, what a beautiful visual I see. Just fall asleep in that. So imagine your vision, your big dream. I mean, the big dream that you're afraid to even tell anybody about, that big dream, and fall asleep in that. Beautifully said, Carla. Thank you. And let's just throw out a challenge here. Everybody's still listening. We want to see your dream. Post beneath this Fearless Fridays with Lisa, and let's hear what your big dream is, and that you're taking on this call to action from Carla Burns. Fall asleep in that, and just watch what happens. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Carla. Make it a beautiful day, everybody. Thanks for joining us again for another edition. Bye everybody.